Turn 1 Soul Ring.
So, I found this guy on YouTube recently, and his channel's all about like opening Pokemon cards, like opening packs and other products, mostly just packs.
Does he get really excited when he gets something good?
No, actually,
Okay.
it's sort of like, it's almost like unintentional ASMR, which is why I started watching all of his videos, because like I don't like the actual ASMR. It kind of gives me the creeps, but like if someone's just like opening packs and they say like the name of every card, and like I think it lends itself more to Pokemon because it's just like the name of the Pokemon. Like with Magic, it could be like, you know, it's like deliver unto evil. It's like, well, that's kind of intense. So, you know, if it's just like
Eevee,
yeah,
Rattata.
Pikachu, yeah. But I got recommended his channel because he was, the video I got recommended was that he was retiring from YouTube after 11 years.
11 years?
11 years. And he was retiring because he was putting more time and effort into his videos, but he felt he wasn't getting the views to, you know, match the effort he was putting in.
Sure.
And he's got like, I think he had around 422,000 subscribers when I saw this video. So he's got
That's
a lot
a
of,
lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But his videos are getting like, you know, anywhere from like 5 to 20K views. So, you know, that's not great. In my experience with like Instagram, on like an average post, you can kind of bet that you'll get 10% likes compared to the amount of followers you have. So if you have 400 followers, you get like 40 likes. You can kind of like bet on that. Mm-hmm. But the guy's not getting like 40,000 views right,
per video.
But the crazy thing is that he's like, I watch his videos and he's just like this guy from Minnesota. So he actually sounds like more stereotypically Canadian than we do. But he's just like this sweet guy. He's like, you know, like in his late 20s, early 30s, like started making these videos when he was in college. And he's just like so like wholesome, and he also like knows his stuff. Like he's a collector, like he plays the game, but he's also very much a collector. But since then, this was like 2 weeks ago, I think, maybe a week and a half ago. Since then, he's gone from 422,000 subscribers to like 431,000 subscribers. So he's getting more
subscribers.
And like all the newest comments on his videos are about like, you know, it's like, did anyone else get recommended this guy's videos after he retired from YouTube? So it's just like he's, you know, it's sort of like
really funny how that works. Like,
yeah, like when an artist dies, like they don't get famous until after their work doesn't get famous till after they're dead.
yeah.
But yeah, his name, the channel's Primetime Pokemon, and if you just like, if you sort of are relaxed by somebody like the sound of like opening packs and like saying the names of cards,
Check it out.
Check it out. It's very soothing. Yeah, Primetime Pokemon. Good stuff.
Well, it sounds like he didn't have to also die to become famous. So
No,
that's good.
He's still out there.
Yeah,
he's just living in Minnesota. But yeah, then I was like looking up how to play Pokemon. Do you know how to play Pokemon?
No, actually, not real. Like I kind of know some stuff about it.
Yeah,
but
I never learned how to play, so I looked up and I ended up watching like one of the professors' video. He did a video on it like a few years ago, like how to play, and it's sort of like for example, if we were playing against each other and you decided to mulligan your opening hand, instead of you drawing down, I get to draw a card every time you mulligan.
oh wow,
I get to draw an additional card, which is kind of crazy. And it's my understanding that you just like, you get a Pokemon, like in your opening hand, if you have like a starting Pokemon, like a basic, you just get to drop that and then you can like evolve it. And, you know, you have like a limited number of, you can play like one energy a turn, I think. But I was just looking into it because, you know, like Violet's that's probably a better way to get her into like TCGs as opposed to like, you know, like Magic is not so much for kids. Like Magic's like 13 plus, and Pokemon I think is like 6 plus. So it's a little, if I wanted to get her into like a TCG, but I never learned how to play when I was a kid. I just collected the cards.
But you can also like show Magic stuff. Like there's that one kid she's like 7 or 8. She's going to like GPs and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She plays elves.
In Modern?
Yeah.
That's a good, yeah. No,
yeah.
that's
like
a
she
good.
Actually like, I was like, whoa. And she has to like get like she's kind of like a little shorter. So I should remembered her name. It was a really cool little video that I just saw, and I was like, oh, whoa.
Okay.
She's like super into Magic at like. I'm really bad with kids' ages though.
It's really hard to tell, I have to say. It is really hard to tell. And you know what? It's probably a good thing that we're like, I don't know how old they are.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to be someone who's like, Yeah, that one is like that. You don't want to be like a grown man being able to like pick out kids'
Like, something's
ages.
weird
It's
there.
just there's just bad connotations that go along with that. So we're not even going to talk about it. But I think we should start the show.
Let's get into the show.
Let's get into the show.
I think we have a lot to talk about.
We do. Yeah, that's right. This is Turn One Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And we are your hosts. And today on the show, we are going to be talking about some cards from the upcoming Theros Beyond Death set.
Woohoo.
That's right. And pre-release is actually tomorrow. We're going to pre-release.
Yeah, so as we're recording this,
Yeah.
we have pre-release tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. So on the next episode, we'll be able to tell you guys all about our pre-release experience. But I'm very excited. I haven't gone to pre-release in quite a while.
Yeah, I think actually the last one I went to... Well, I did do the Ravnica Allegiance, I think it was.
Okay, yeah, the last one I went to, I think was Ixalan or Rivals of Ixalan. So
Okay, that's a little bit ago.
A couple years ago, yeah. But before we get to the cards, let's talk about a couple of things that are new and noteworthy in the world of Magic. So first up, we have the modern banned and restricted announcement that came out on Monday, January 13th.
Here it is.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I... basically a couple things that are like a long time coming.
Right, yeah. Like Oko, Thief of Crowns was banned. I don't think that's surprised anyone.
Now, if you're surprised by that, I'm surprised you're surprised.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We saw it getting banned in Standard and then in Pioneer, and it's like, it's still showing way too much power.
And in Brawl.
Sorry, it's Brawl 2.
It's a supported format. Is it banned in anything else or just Modern now?
Now
it's
Modern
just
as well.
The, just the four formats.
So you can play it in
Legacy.
You
can play it in Vintage. I guess you can play it in like some kind of a cube league.
Cube's always just your own stuff.
You could use it as your Oathbreaker in Oathbreaker, but I don't know how good it is in Oathbreaker and what spell I would use as my signature spell. I'm not sure. Maybe like
Bring to Light. I'm kidding. With 2 colors, that's great.
I was thinking of that one that turns all your creatures into like base power toughness XX.
Oh, like biomass?
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We're thinking of the right card, but we're not saying it, and the listeners are probably screaming at their
what's wrong with
their
you?
phones. And it, sort of in tandem with Oko, Mox Opal was also banned.
Mox Opal has been dodging the bullet for a while, I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they just basically said in the announcement that the the blue-green Urza decks, the Urza Lord High Artificer, they rose to the top of the competitive Modern format, and apparently on Magic Online League play, they are maintaining a non-mirror match win percentage of more than 55%. And in addition, these decks also have a winning matchup against 9 of the other 10 most popular competitive decks, indicating an inability of the metagame to adjust on its own. And when that happens, you gotta ban cards.
Yep.
That's exactly what happened with the last big banning and Necropolis there. What's his name?
Oh, no.
Yeah, what is it called?
Starts with an H.
Hogak, Arisen Necropolis. Yeah, so with Hogak, Arisen Necropolis, it was the same thing. It was just the format was morphing around that deck archetype.
That deck. And so and Mox Opal it was just like fast, free mana.
Oh yeah, and
especially in a format like this,
and it's in other decks, right? It's not just this Urza deck that it's had success in.
It's been in Affinity for the longest time. Yeah. And but just seeing the Urza deck, it really was too powerful there.
And the thing is, I don't think I played against an Urza deck since that card came out in our local game stores, but they're taking this data from MTGO, and they're also taking it from sort of the highest levels of competitive play.
Yeah.
So even though it may not feel like these decks were oppressive to you, they
definitely were out there as being this way.
And it's a trickle down effect, right? With the most competitive decks, like people see these decks do well in tournaments and like, okay, I'm going to put this deck together and I'm going to take it to my LGS, I'm going to play it. Yeah. And then that trickles down through the LGS in your local community.
Totally. So seeing Mox Opal, I think that was just kind of coming. And to get back to Ogo for a little bit, even like that card, that there were Death Shadow decks just jamming Oko in there and stuff. And I heard even like some burn decks had Oko, and it's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
this card is like in everybody's deck.
That's just when it's got to go, right? When it's just it's so good, you're in burn, you're splashing blue and green.
Yeah,
it's just silly. Yeah.
The last one,
is Mycosynth Lattice.
Yeah,
which really wasn't seeing any play in Modern up until Karn, the Great Creator, was printed in War of the Spark.
Yeah, it was just because of Karn. Now inside of Tron, you can obviously grab Mycosynth Lattice, play that out, and because you have all the big fast mana, you could play it quite early. And just lock your opponent out of the game. Yeah,
they can still attack though.
They can still attack,
which was something that
sure.
I was watching competitive play recently, but like going back to when this combo, if you want to call it that, first started being used, and I was watching competitive play, and players weren't attacking with creatures that they had on the board because it's like artifacts, activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated,
but attacking
and blocking. Yeah. But yeah, it was just that was just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess it's also you just have your stuff turned off, so you don't really think about it, right? You're like, well, I just can't do anything now.
Exactly. Yeah.
But always the time to grab Lattice is mostly on an empty board and stuff, and it's still really hard to come back with when you can't play any spells.
Of course, yeah. Unless you can, use free spells like the 4 spells from Modern Horizons or like the packs.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna lose the game if you can't get mana on the following upkeep. I think they're upkeep trigger cards. Like Pact of Negation, Pact of Slaughter Pact.
Yeah, those ones are.
Anyways, this was more for that it was a feel bad 2-card combo. It sounds like why they banned it, and less that it because it obviously wasn't, the format wasn't morphing around Karn the Great Creator mono green Tron builds.
Yeah.
And they do, that's the deck that I play in Modern. And, I would win in more traditional, Tron ways more often than I would win with the Lattice. And, I've gotten the Lattice into play, and, I've had it destroyed by it's like I'm going to float mana and then blow up the Lattice once it resolves kind of thing. So, not a card that necessarily needed to be banned, but I understand banning a card for the feel bads.
Yeah, and it didn't need to be banned, but also the card wasn't seeing play until this combo, and then it's just like a combo where you just can't play the game. So I don't think losing it.
Oh, it's fine. The deck is still fine. You don't even need to run the Great Creator in a mono green Tron build. You're
Not
still going to do good. Tron's always going to be a good deck in Modern.
A good deck.
Yeah, and you still have all those other options in the wish board. I think I run a liquid metal coating in my sideboard, so that's tap target permanent becomes an artifact. I think it's until end of turn.
Yeah.
So, it's that's a little bit better because you can just target something, right? Instead of just Lattice shutting down the game. And I'm not a big fan of strategies that don't win, but they make it so the expectation is that you or your opponent concedes.
Yeah.
Right? Like Lantern Control. It's okay, mathematically, I can't win this. I could sit here and we could go to time, or maybe I'll just concede. There's that 3,500 armor combo in Hearthstone now in Wild, and that's the same thing. It's okay, well, I'm just gonna concede because I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
But if your opponent doesn't concede, you just kind of have to sit there and wait. And for me, that's not fun.
Totally.
As someone piloting that combo.
Yeah.
But
and so that is kind of what the Karn Mycosynth Lattice is oh, I win because you can't do anything. It's not because I killed you, you killed me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just looking at it from that perspective, I'm glad it's banned. It's even as someone who was running that in their decks, and it's still a great commander card. I might just throw it in my Duretti deck because I already have a Karn the Great Creator there, so you can just search it up. So all good.
And I mean, Mycosynth Lattice and Vandal Blast is always a
It's very spicy. Yeah. Just make sure you have. It's opponents. That's right. Yeah. So you don't even need the Darksteel Forge.
Nope, you don't.
You're good.
All your opponents don't have any permanents. You still have permanents. You will win.
Yeah, presumably, unless somebody copies the Vandal Blast.
Oh,
that'd be bad. If you copied it, would you still get the Overload? You copy the spell that's cast as the Overload?
Because that's what's on the stack.
Okay. So yeah, you just reverberate it or like reiterate it. That would work. Or the original, you could fork it.
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of an expensive card though, for what it does.
We kind of like learned how that worked even in one of our previous commander ones, because if you have a modal spell, whatever those modes are, if you copy that spell, those modes you can't re-choose. That's what they are. You can still choose new targets,
right?
But you can't re-choose the modes.
Exactly. You're copying the spell that's been cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing that you know what? Another thing I wanted to talk about just briefly with this BNR announcement is they say that they're also aware of the community buzz around the combination of Helioid Sun Crowned and Walking Ballista in Pioneer, and apparently in keeping with the philosophy of letting the Pioneer metagame prove itself through play results, their plan is not to take any preemptive action against this combination. So they're just going to see what happens.
Yeah.
I'd be a little bit hesitant to like go out and buy like Helioid Sun Crown because it's probably gonna see play in standard, but it's I think on pre-order right now it's like $22.99 on Card Kingdom.
Damn.
So it's like I'd be a little bit hesitant to buy the cards, and also I don't even know. I'm sure there's like a 1,000 deck lists out there for this deck, but
it's like, what do you do? Do you get rid of Heliod or do you get rid of Walking Ballista?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Both just solid cards. But
Walking Ballista is a solid card and it's seeing play in other decks as well. So it might be a feel bad if you really like Walking Ballista, and just because Heliod is a thing, your other card gets banned.
Yeah, I think because in terms of keeping players happy, the better ban would be Helioid Sun Crown, because I think so. People haven't. I'm sure people have pre-ordered it, but
Hardened Scales and Pioneer is a deck.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and stuff. So
yeah, that wouldn't feel good. But that's it for the banned and restricted announcement. The other thing is that a new Secret Lair drop series was announced for Year of the Rat, which it is according to the Chinese Zodiac.
Yeah, I like how they say it's a drop series when there's only just one of them.
Yeah. What they're doing, they're celebrating 2020, the 2020 Lunar New Year with 8 Reveling Rodents. So the cards, so just like previous Secret Lair drops, Year of the Rat will be available for 24 hours only and will be available at secretlair.wizards.com. This sale starts at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on January 27, and you can pick up your copy of Year of the Rat for $39.99 USD, limit of 10 per customer. What you get in each copy of Year of the Rat is 1 alternate art foil Minotaur, 1 alternate art foil Pack Rat, 1 alternate art foil ink-eyed Servant of Oni, and 5 foil alternate art rat colony. So if you got 3 or 4 of these, you'd have enough rat colonies for a rat colony commander deck.
You would, and have this really cool art.
Yeah, the art is pretty solid. Some of it, is fine. Some of it kind of reminds me of the Goblin Secret Lair art, which I didn't love, but the Ink Eyes is really cool. It looks like a manga. That's very, very cool.
I do like the Minotaurs because they're all having dinner. Some marrow. Yeah,
I do like his armor. That does look very cool. But yeah, I assume they're going to do more of these throughout 2020. If they're calling it a series, and they'll just surprise us like this, like a couple weeks in advance, or this is 10 days from this recording. So yeah, if you like rats, check it out. Goldfish did a really good video of the value of the various Secret Lairs when they were first announced.
Yes.
If you bought the cards, that was a really good resource to kind of decide if you thought it was worth it to buy these. And this is on the more expensive end of the Secret Lairs, the $39.99 price tag.
Oh, yeah, because the other ones are $29.99.
I think a couple of them, like Kaleidoscope Killers, was $39.99.
There were two of them.
And
the cats.
the cats one.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's if you like rats, or if you're just a collector, like it's just a cool product. I like that they're going to keep this going, and people seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's nice to see that it is just one-off things. If you're a big fan of these cards, pick it up. And if you're not, whatever.
All right, well, let's get to the Theros Beyond Death. So first off, we want to talk about the new mechanic Escape. So the way that Escape works is spells with Escape can be cast from the graveyard for their escape cost. The cost includes exiling a number of other cards from the graveyard, and if a creature escapes, it may receive an additional bonus like 1/1 counters or some other kind of bonus. We're also seeing the return of Sagas, which we've only seen in Dominaria.
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Constellation mechanic, which is when an enchantment enters the battlefield, something happens. And Devotion, which is cares about the number of colored mana pips that are on permanents you control. So it's like the little colored circles in on mana costs of permanents. So we're going to be talking about the cards in Wooburg order as usual. So let's start with the white cards. So we just talked about this one, but I'll start us off with Helioid Sun Crowned. Oh, the images you get from Scryfall are so nice and crisp. They're beautiful. So Helioid Sun Crowned, 2 and a white for a legendary enchantment creature god, 5/5, indestructible of course. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Helioid isn't a creature, and whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. And you can pay 1 and a white, another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Actually, doesn't this also combo with Triskelion? Which isn't in Pioneer, but I think that does also combo the same way. Because I'll also use Ballista and Triskelion for basically the same thing in my Mikaeus EDH deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've talked about the 2-card combos with 2-card combo with Walking Ballista. I think this is just like a solid commander card. I think it's a solid card in standard as well. It's just like that rate. It's incredible.
Oh, it's super good.
Yeah. I think we've talked about Helioid enough. I don't love the art, but whatever.
Yeah, the art's okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it'll also is it worth it to put it in some sort of lifelinker deck just in general, like if it can fit into like Soul Sisters in Modern or something.
Yeah, it is only 3 mana.
Yeah.
So, and like there aren't that many. Like that deck does curve out kind of at 3.
Like you're just gaining life for your creatures entering, then they're getting counters from that life gain. I think he's like a really nice addition into Soul Sisters, I feel.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be that tough to like have a couple of Sisters, a couple of Sarah Ascendants. You got this guy, you've got 5 Devotion. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
You'll have to try it out. Because you
maybe. Hopefully it'll get banned out of Standard and Pioneer, and it'll just be worthless.
Cheap,
yeah. All right, let's move on.
Perfect. All right, so let's talk about good old Elspeth. Everyone was wondering if she's coming back. She's here.
Oh, yeah.
And let's get to it.
She's evil this time, though.
Is she?
Well, just because she's Sun's nemesis.
Sure.
As opposed to champion? No, I don't think she's evil.
All right, so I know we did talk about this card on many episodes ago.
Many moons.
But Elspeth Sun's nemesis is 2 of anything, 2 white for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. And all the abilities are -1. Up to 2 target creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. -2 makes you 2 1/1 human soldiers. And then -3, you gain 5 life. And then, of course, she has Escape for 4 of anything, 2 white, and 4 cards exiled from your graveyard. She's back on the battlefield.
What I didn't realize about Escape until I started doing the outline for this episode was that you just get to keep doing it over and over again. So as long as you have cards in your graveyard and mana to pay for the escape cost, you can just
Did you think it was a one-time thing?
I guess I didn't even think about it. I was just like, okay, it's coming back. That's great. Like, okay, let's move on. Like, we just looked at those spoilers, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like look at, and I look at spoilers, but I just, I guess I don't like think about the interactions between cards until I have to. So like for the show, or if I'm like, okay, do I want to put this in a deck?
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm like, oh, cool card. Which probably isn't good.
It's kind of funny.
But she only has minus abilities, which is really flavorful because she's like dying and then she's coming back, right? Like that's what happens in the trailer, and we have those other two sagas that are kind of in that same flavor, in that same flavor realm. But yeah, just like a planeswalker that you can just bring back over and over and over again, like that's crazy.
And I think some people may kind of like sleep on this card because it's 4 mana, 5 loyalty, and it's only minus stuff. Escaping, you can just keep coming back though. Like late game, you can just keep doing this, keep making more tokens.
Yeah, exactly. And it
just gum up the board, like.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a really, like kind of in a backwards way, it is a really great way for white to have some card advantage.
Yeah.
Right? Because like it is difficult for white to rebuild after board wipes. Like if we're talking just mono white, so like this could be a great way to do it. Like after a board wipe, you can still bring this back because your graveyard's like full of creatures.
And then you bring this back, -2, you get 2 1/1s on the field. It is making some sort of board presence.
Definitely.
And if you don't have anything that you need in your graveyard, you can just exile it away. Like it's really good value. Yeah.
Yeah, cool card.
Like it.
All right, next up, we have a reprint. Idyllic Tutor. 2 and a white for a sorcery. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Yeah, great reprint.
It's a great reprint. Great time to be in standard with all the enchantments.
Yeah. I think I might have talked about this when it was spoiled, like maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. But this is a card that was very expensive and I think was suffering from the Imperial Recruiter effect, which was just like too little supply for a relatively low demand.
Yes.
Because this card, I think we checked, and it was about $30 on
even
Card
I was
Kingdom.
surprised. I was like, whoa.
And on pre-order, when I checked earlier this week, it was $5 or $6.99.
Yeah.
So it's gonna get, and that's on pre-order, right? Like it's gonna get hit hard with this reprint, which is great if you want to put it in your commander decks.
Totally. It'll be interesting to see if it actually sees, like, if people are excited for it for standard. Because that might keep the price a little bit there. But then after standard is done, I think, like...
Oh, yeah. Like a rotation. If it does see plain standard, but at rotation, definitely. It'll get hit.
Definitely. But yeah, this is just a solid reprint.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Next up, we have Heliod's Intervention. So it's one of these there's a whole cycle of these guys. It looks like every god has an intervention.
Yeah, some of them stink.
Some of them do, yeah. We may not talk about them. So Heliod's Intervention is X and 2 white. You get to choose one, destroy X target artifacts and/or enchantments, and then also target player gains twice X life.
And it's an instant.
It's an instant.
Which is really nice. An instant board wipe. An instant targeted board wipe.
Look at that.
Yeah, I think this card is really great because, some of the most powerful cards in Commander are artifacts and enchantments. And if you can just surgically remove them at instant speed, that's nuts.
Super good. Because you can like dump some mana into this, get 3 or 4. Even like that's good value there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 6 mana, instant speed, end step before your turn, take out the 4 problem artifacts. Done. The only thing that would make this better would be if it exiled them.
Yes, that would be too powerful.
This card is just, I love it.
But yeah, great for Commander. I'm definitely going to be picking up a copy or 2 of this for my decks.
Oh yeah, and I bet it's not going to be that expensive. I haven't checked, but
we'll have to see how like maybe like now would be the time to pick it up because then if enchantments are really popular in Standard, people may be picking up this card.
Sure. More. Yeah. But like overall, like I was looking at this set on a few different websites, just like pre-order singles, and overall it seems like a very low value set. There are some cards that are, like $20 plus, but most of the rares are like bulk rare prices. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the prices change with Standard because you never know.
You never know,
right? Like I thought Oko was a bad card, so
yeah,
you never know.
Those are good times.
Okay, so next up we have Elspeth Conquers Death. It is a saga. It's 3 and 2 white for an enchantment saga. In case you don't know, I'll do this first one. As this saga enters, and after your draw step, add a lore counter and sacrifice after 3 lore counters. So first one, exile target permanent and opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or greater. Second one, non-creature spells your opponent's cast cost 2 more to cast until your next turn. And its third one is return target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a 1/1/1 counter on it or a loyalty counter on it. So that'd be great if you were the art on this is super flavorful. I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
And if you were targeting Elspeth Son's Nemesis, that would be a flavor win. You might not win the match, but I'd give you a flavor win for that.
Elspeth gets herself.
Yeah. She conquers death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just a solid card, I think.
Yeah, I really think the 1 and the 3 are obviously a lot of power. Like just for 5 mana, exiling something is okay in certain formats.
Sure.
But then this has more to it as well. Because we've seen like the Wanderer, I think it was, from
War of the Spark. Yeah. That could exile. Its only ability was to exile. Should we look that up?
Maybe, yeah. And then the 2 is kind of interesting because it's like the turn after you play this, then for 1 turn, your opponents have 2 more to cast for non-creature spells. So it's like board wipes and stuff, or if you're against, it's like in a control matchup, is this good? Or like, what's the deal? Where does this really fit in? But after exiling something from the first, the third one, you get to bring back something big. That's always super powerful, so...
Yeah, for 5 mana, and at that point in the game, there probably will be something on the board that is, 3 or greater.
Yeah.
That you can hit. The Wanderer is -2 to exile target creature with power 4 or greater.
4 or greater, and this is 3.
So a little bit better, a little bit more flexibility.
Right after that, next up, we have the Eidolon of Obstruction. So I thought this card was really neat because we are finally getting some Planeswalker hate.
Finally.
Obviously, there's removal spells, but this is something to just kind of... It's a little bit different.
Just play the Elder Spell.
So this is 1 of anything and a white for a 2/1 Spirit with first strike. It's also an enchantment creature. And loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers your opponent's control cost 1 more to activate.
That hurts so much.
It really hurts so much.
Because like the power of a Planeswalker is that once you've paid for it, you get to just activate those abilities for essentially free.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't cost you any mana, it doesn't cost you any life, it doesn't cost you any sacrificing anything. So to have to pay 1, ugh. Yeah,
totally.
That stinks.
So obviously for Commander, I don't think this is a very good card. It sometimes would have some relevance. Maybe.
Sure, if you're just going like full stacks and like you just as much garbage as you want and you don't want to have any friends, that's fine.
Sure, go for it.
I'll still play with you.
But of course, in Standard, I think this is going to see play because we still have all the Planeswalkers from War of the Spark. That makes this card really good. I could maybe even see it main board in like white weenie decks and stuff just because it's a small creature with first strike. And you get the Planeswalker hate in there as well. And then in even in Modern or even in Pioneer, you can grab this from Coco. So against those control decks with all those Teferis, this really slows down control decks because they're running all those Planeswalkers.
Right. What's Coco?
Collected Company.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
Collected Company, just I should probably explain a little bit, is a 3 of anything in a green. You get to look at the top 6 cards of your library and take any 2 creatures and put those on the battlefield. Yeah. So it sees a lot of play in, obviously, the constructed formats. I don't think so much more Commander.
No. It's just it's too much variance, right? Like the deck that would be good in would be like.
Oh, the creatures entering are 3 CMC or less as well. I forgot to say that.
Yeah. So that's
3
like
CMC or less.
like Edric, or if you're in like tribal elves, that kind of stuff. And it does see play in elves, right? That and like Cavern of Souls is what makes elves so expensive.
So yeah.
Still pretty budget though compared to some other decks. It's
It
like
is.
$600. So it's not that bad.
So I'm excited to see where we see this card.
Yeah. Okay, next up we have Taranika, a Crowan veteran. He is 1 and 2 white for a 3/3 legendary creature, human soldier with vigilance. And whenever Taranika attacks, untap another target creature you control until end of turn. That creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. I thought about maybe slotting this guy into my Gideon Oathbreaker deck because he's a soldier.
Oh, cool.
And you also like get indestructible, so then that creature will survive and Gideon survives, and then you can just, Wrath of God.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna make it, but I guess you could plus with Gideon and make him indestructible, and then everyone. Yeah. Oh,
I like that.
Cool.
Yeah, nice. I also think that if you have maybe like a deck with mana dorks in it, and then you tap them for mana, but then you can still untap them with Taranika, and now it's a big 4/4 indestructible that's attacking.
For sure.
There's some cool things there as well.
Totally. Yeah.
So I want to see what happens with this card in Standard. I think it's pretty impressive because for 3 mana the next turn you're attacking for 7. Mm-hmm. And this also has vigilance, so it can block as well from attacking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's just like a 3 mana 3/3 with vigilance is just solid, especially in limited. I'd first pick this.
Yeah, totally. So our last one in white here is the Birth of Meletis, one of the two. I thought this card is going to be really good for Standard control. It reminisces back to Wall of Omens, I feel.
Oh, yeah. 1 and a white.
Yeah. So this is 1 and a white for an Enchantment Saga. And so Wall of Omens was a 0/4, as you were saying, and I interrupted you.
Oh, yeah. 0/4 enters the battlefield, draw a card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with this card, the first one is search your library for a basic Plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So you get a tutor out of land. And then the second saga, you make an 0/4 with Defender Wall creature. And then the third just gains you 2 life. But white doesn't get to search for lands very often, so that's kind of nice there. Getting a land out of your deck, ramping.
And when it does get to search for lands, it has to have fewer lands than an opponent.
Yeah.
Right? Like Gift of Estates or land tax.
This is no matter what.
It's like, I think Knight of the White Orchid also doesn't care.
I think so.
But overall, it's pretty standard that you have to have fewer lands than an opponent. But yeah, this is a cool card.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really that really stood out to me, the being able to just tutor for a land. Even though it's just a hand.
Even though it's just a hand. It's still making sure you're hitting the land drops, which is, again, like I was saying, control. Control really wants to make sure they hit their land drops, have more mana to be doing things. And then after you play this on your third turn, not only by playing another spell, you are getting an 0/4 defender as well to help defend yourself and kind of like slow down that game. Mm-hmm. And then you're gaining life as well on top of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially like burn decks are going to hate to see this card. I just think it's just like so much stability just for the 2 mana.
Okay, moving on to blue. First up, we have Thassa Deep Dwelling. She is 3 and a blue for a legendary enchantment creature god. She's a 6/5 with indestructible. As long as your devotion to blue is less than 5, Thassa isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 other target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control, and you can pay 3 and a blue to tap another target creature. And that's just 3 and a blue, so if you've got the mana, you just tap all the creatures.
You can keep on going.
That is a really great mana sink. Like, I keep thinking about all these cards in limited because we're going to pre-release tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that is such a great mana sink late game in a limited environment. So like these are going to be so good in limited because they're destructible. Yeah.
And then you can keep on doing that mana sink stuff. And if you find some good ETB stuff.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
fits right in there as well. Mm-hmm. You're getting so much more value off of that. I actually really like this card. I'm excited to play it in some Commander.
Mm-hmm, me too. Okay.
Because with all the ETB effects, this is so much value. I know it's like only once per turn, but still.
Oh, yeah. Still. No kidding.
Yeah. All right, next up is Thassa's Oracle.
Yeah, wall of text on this one.
Wall of text and alternate win con.
Love those. Yeah, we just talked about that.
So Thassa's Oracle is 2 blue for a 1/3 Merfolk Wizard. When Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to one of them into the top of your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game.
Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely going to put this into my Azami deck because it's a wizard, and it's like a third win condition.
Yeah. It's again, like if you're playing a deck that's using, what's the creature?
Labman.
Yeah. Laboratory Maniac.
Or New Jace.
And then we have the new Jace. This kind of just fits into that whole strategy as well, because you want to have less cards in your library to win the game.
Yeah, and it also combos really well with Paradigm Shift, which is a rare from Weatherlight. It's 1 and a blue for a sorcery. Remove all cards in your library from the game. Shuffle your graveyard into your library. So on like turn 4, you could do this and then play Thassa. As long as you don't have anything in your graveyard, you win the game.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good stuff right there.
Yeah, okay, so...
I like that card a lot.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I always love a good alternate win condition. Especially when it's that easy to achieve. It's not like Coalition Victory, which is banned. Next up, we have Nadir Kraken. This is 1 and 2 blue for a 2/3 Kraken. It's a small Kraken. Usually they're big.
Usually.
Whenever you draw a card, you may pay 1. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on Nadir Kraken and create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token. So this is just, I saw this card and I thought this could get out of hand really quickly.
Yeah.
But also for Commander, you can go infinite with card draw engine like Kindred Discovery or Mentor of the Meek. So Kindred Discovery is from Commander 2017. It was the tribal ones. It was one of the like Kindred cycle cards, and it's 3 and 2 blue for an enchantment. Whenever you choose a creature type when it comes into play, whenever a creature of the chosen type comes into play or attacks, you draw a card. And then Mentor of the Meek is it's like whenever a creature with
2 or less comes in,
you can pay 1.
You can pay 1 to draw a card.
Draw a card, yeah.
Yeah.
So Kindred Discovery obviously is a little bit better because you don't have to pay the mana. But if you have a card like Mana Echoes in play, which is whenever a creature comes into play that shows a creature type, you draw a card for each creature. Or, you get a colorless mana for each creature of that type that's on the battlefield. So the first time you get 1 mana, the second time you get 2 mana, and it just...
So Nadir Kraken with Mana Echoes just... Infinite right there.
Yeah, infinite card draw and infinite mana, and also infinite 1/1 tentacle tokens.
Yes, until you have no cards left in your deck.
Yeah, but draw most of your deck, and then you should win. You should be able to win. Yeah, we should have talked about that back on our first episode with like deck building. It's like if you are ever in a situation where you can draw your whole deck, make sure you build your deck so that when you have it, you can win.
Get there. Oh crap!
It's like I didn't have Lab Man.
Oh no.
Yeah, just a cool card. And when I saw this card, it kind of, for some reason, it looks like a Commander card, like from a Commander set. If anyone else got that when they saw it, leave a comment somewhere, because I don't know, it just feels like a Commander card.
Yeah,
maybe it's like Deja Vu or something. I don't know. Anyways, moving on.
I think this card's also just good everywhere. In Limited, I think this is a great bomb.
Oh, yeah, first pick.
Every turn you're getting a 1/1 pretty much no matter what.
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt. And if you have other ways to draw cards in addition, it's totally solid. Yeah, it just keeps getting bigger.
Already. Next up, we have Whirlwind Denial, which is 2 of anything in a blue for an instant. For each spell and ability your opponents control, counter it unless its controller pays 4.
Yeah, I like this card a lot. It reminds me of Summary Dismissal.
Yeah.
Because Summary Dismissal exiles everything on the stack, which is better. Because in this scenario, you have the option to just pay.
But 4 is still a lot.
Yeah. And also 4 is a lot. Yeah, you're not going to be able to pay.
But it's nice because it also hits like Summary Dismissal. It also... Wait. Does that hit abilities?
Yeah, Summary Dismissal is 2 and 2 blue for an instant. Exile all other spells and counter all abilities.
Right, yeah.
So, because, you wouldn't exile abilities. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
We'll see what happens in 2020.
You just like scratch it off the card.
It's like, oh, my card, use like liquid paper on it. That's better. Yeah, this is just, I think like 9 times out of 10, this is just a summary dismissal.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and it's less mana and it's easier to cast because it's just 1 blue pip.
Yeah, so it's really nice to have another one of those.
Yeah, solid card. Oh, this next one's a mythic. I didn't even realize that when I saw the card.
Yes.
Okay, so next up we have Kiora Bess the Sea God, which is, it looks like Thas on the art here. So this is a saga, an enchantment saga. It's 5 and 2 blue for, its first one is create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token with hexproof. It's pretty good, like 7 mana to get an 8/8 with hexproof. Yeah, I mean, that would just be like a good way to top out your curve in limited. Its second one is tap all non-land permanents target opponent controls. They don't untap during their controller's next untap step. Whew. And its third one is gain control of target permanent an opponent controls and untap it. Yeah, this is like really good for
7 mana.
7 mana.
It is 7 mana, but this card is really good. Like obviously in limited it's going to do a lot of work, but I think even in like constructed, this can do a lot because on the first turn you get a big 8/8 with hexproof. Then on your next turn, you're tapping down all of your opponent's stuff.
So you can swing through with the 8/8.
So you get to swing through with the 8/8 and whatever else you have. They don't untap on their next untap step either.
So you get another round to attack, another turn.
You get another turn to
after
attack.
that.
And with the third one, so if it's their turn where all their stuff is tapped down, they play another creature. On the other turn where it's still all tapped down, you can take that one creature that they made and swing in again. So you got rid of their blocker with the third saga part, and you're just like, I'm still getting in. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. This could, and even in limited, like this could be, a way to like come back.
Yeah.
In the game, so
it can be, and in a way, like especially if you're late game, even in constructed, even in like standard, if they only have like 1 or 2 cards in hand, you have a really good opportunity to probably deal 16 damage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Ooh. All right. Next up, I really like this card. So next up is Ashiok's Erasure. So it's 2 vanilling and 2 blue for an enchantment, which has flash. When Ashiok's Erasure enters the battlefield, exile target spell. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. When Ashiok's Erasure leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand.
Yeah, this is even good in Commander because it's not target opponent, it's just all opponents. So like if you exiled something like, what's a card that everyone runs in their deck? Probably Soul Ring, yeah. Doi.
For example.
Nobody else can cast their Soul Ring.
Yeah. The really cool thing about this card is that if we have spells that can't be countered, this can still get rid of that spell because it comes in and it exiles target spell underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not countering that spell. So if we have like Supreme Verdict, you can actually stop Supreme Verdict with Ashiok's Erasure.
And Summary Dismissal.
And Summary Dismissal too.
That's right.
So there's not many cards that can do this in Magic. So it's really cool to have this card printed. I think it's actually a really good counter Magic-esque kind of spell.
Yeah, Unsubstantiate's another one that I have brought up on the show many times.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't love that they'll get the spell back
if it's destroyed.
But I never like that. I think, I don't think I'm alone in that, but
sometimes all you need is one more turn.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, yeah, right?
Totally. Yeah. And it's also you're getting enchantment synergy, right? So like you're hitting like Constellation and that never hurts either.
Yeah, so if you have enchantments in your deck as well, like it's just a really good card just to have in there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next up we've got Thrix, the Sudden Storm. He's 3 and 2 blue for a legendary creature, elemental giant, 4/5 with flash and flying. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered.
Heck yeah.
I'd first pick this.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, it's just a great way to 2-for-1 somebody, right? It's almost like you could use it as a combat trick.
That's why I think this card is really good because of the flash. Even in Commander, if you have if you're running blue and you have big creatures in your deck, I think this is a really good card to look at because not only is it going to save you a counter spell possibly, it makes your bigger creatures cost 1 less as well. Just anything that's CMC 5 or less.
Yeah.
And it's actually spells you cast. It's not just creatures.
Yeah, it's all spells.
All spells are one less that are 5 or greater. So again, it just makes your big spells cheaper. I think this card's really good.
Big boys.
Big boys come to town.
Yep.
Also, standard giants.
That's right.
We're going there.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about that back in Throne of Eldraine.
Yep. So with this guy, yeah, I'm going to do some sort of giant deck. It'll be fun.
All right, well, you'll have to tell us about it, Eric.
I will.
Okay, we're moving on to black.
In black, first up, we have Nightmare Shepherd.
Shepherd.
This card is 2 of anything and 2 black for a 4/4 flying demon. I also really like the art.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1, and it's a nightmare in addition to its other types.
I was when I saw this card, I thought of I think it got spoiled like right around the time that Pelucranos, if I'm saying that right, got spoiled, which we'll talk about when we get to the gold cards. But if you bring that back, it's the token. It's a 1/1, but it also has all those counters, right? So it's just a big boy. So like you probably don't want to use this ability a lot on escape cards because you want to keep reusing escape cards. But you know, like in that scenario, it's good. Or any kind of card that comes, like you can do just all kinds of crazy stuff with like little 1/1s. So
yeah, it's like anything that has like it's a smaller creature with ETB effects. This card I think just really fits right in there. It's really really nice. Also, in black, Gary is back.
Right.
And so if Gary dies, just exile, you get the trigger again. Hello.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bumped him up to an uncommon. Did you see that?
I did. I think it's I think the power, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially for like limited play.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a common card. There's going to be way too many.
Yeah, well, he's still legal in Pauper.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Woe Strider. It's 2 and a black for a 3/2 horror creature. When Woe Strider enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 white goat creature token.
Love goats.
That's right. What is that, like Clackbridge Troll that makes the goats?
Yeah, it makes 3 goats. Yeah.
Sacrifice another creature, scry 1, and it has escape for 3 and 2 black, and you have to exile 4 other cards from your graveyard. And Woe Strider escapes with 2 1/1 counters on it. So yeah, you can like scry a couple of times, and he gets bigger.
Yeah. There's a lot to like here about this card. First of all, in Standard, we now have a free sacrifice outlet. A lot of other cards, you had to pay to sacrifice other cards.
Right.
So here, we can just infinitely sack stuff. So I think Aristocrats can really see some sort of deck in Standard.
Yeah.
Talking about the card in general as well, it's like a...
Viscera Seer.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's a Viscera Seer. It is more expensive than Viscera Seer.
Viscera, yeah. I said it Viscera for so long, but it's Viscera. Like it's like, you know,
No, I just
the
remembered you,
organs.
like-
Yes,
Yeah.
no, it's my mistake. It's Viscera.
But yeah, he's like a more expensive Viscera Seer. So if you have that card in your deck, this is 3 mana compared to 1, but I think it's still, you might as well just pop this card in there as well. It's another free sacrifice outlet. And then if somebody deals with this on itself, you have a way of getting it back out of the graveyard so that you can probably combo off again.
Right.
So it has that like combo safety in there as well, which I think is really good about it.
Yeah, and unlike Viscera Seer, it gives you that creature to sacrifice.
Right, that's a really good point as well.
Which is
when
really
it
nice.
enters, it can do its thing right away because it makes that goat.
You don't have to sacrifice an actual card.
You can just get rid of that sacrificial goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should have made it a lamb token. That would be a little bit more flavorful.
There we
Sacrificial
go.
lamb.
I don't think there's any lambs in Magic though.
I don't think so.
Well, last thing for Standard, what's really cool is that when you escape with Woe Strider, it is now a 5/4. 4 toughness kind of dodges more removal.
Right.
So it is kind of like the toughness there is actually kind of nice too because you can dodge some certain removal things. So
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're doing this next one, not me.
yeah. So next up we have Drag to the Underworld. So this is 2 and 2 black. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is your devotion to black, and you just destroy target creature.
A lot of times this is just going to cost 2 black.
Pretty much, like if you're running this card, I think it's really cool to see a 2 mana destroy target creature spell
Instant.
in Standard.
Yeah. And an instant.
Instant.
That's the best part.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just a solid. You know, depending on what the rare was in my pack, I'd also first pick this because, like, ladies and gentlemen, get that removal.
Get that removal.
Get that removal. You need it.
And this is probably like the prime removal spell Even if you aren't in too much black, even casting this, like if you are playing limited, even for 3 mana, or even if you have to do the 4 mana, it's still instant speed removal.
Yeah, you just can't go wrong.
No.
All right, next up, we have Elspeth's Nightmare. 2 and a black for an enchantment saga. The first stage is destroy target creature and opponent controls with power 2 or less. Second stage is target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. And the third stage is exile target opponent's graveyard.
I like this card just for the art.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like the trailer, right? Like when she's in the underworld and she's having a rough time. She's dead.
Yes, the thing that really stood out to me was on the art. The thing above it reminds me of Phyrexian Obliterator.
Oh yeah,
card.
Yep.
And people have always been wondering if we're going to go back to Phyrexia or something.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
And I feel like this is just something that because it's Elspeth's Nightmare. It's something that may happen in the future. Like she's had this nightmare.
Right.
And so I thought that was just it'd be really cool if that was what this was actually alluding to.
I was playing Commander recently at a local game store in town. And, sort of chatting with some gentlemen about this set upcoming. And, one of them was like, oh, it's like I'm kind of disappointed because I thought we'd be going back to Phyrexia. And, they kind of hinted at that and, this, that, and the other thing. And it kind of reminded me of our conversation that we had about Star Wars recently, where it's like, if you're getting more of what you like.
Yeah.
How's that bad?
What's wrong with that?
It's like we're going back to Theros. Great. Like we're going back to Zendikar. We're going to this new Ikoria set. It's like let's just see what happens.
See what happens. We have really cool lore and story to go along with everything.
Sure. Yeah. And if you're into Phyrexia, I've been for our Patreon bonus content, I've been doing a lot of Phyrexia research, and that stuff is super interesting. So if you just want to go back to learn the origins of Yawgmoth and all that stuff, well, if you do become a patron, but also you can check it out yourself. But then you don't get to listen to us. So
we got some good points to say.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to red. Starting with the big boy himself.
Alrighty, so the big boy, Perforos, bronze-blooded.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 of anything and a red for the legendary enchantment creature God. He's a 7/6 with indestructible. As long as your fortune red is less than 5, he's not a creature. Mm-hmm. Other creatures you control have haste. That's always a really nice ability to have, especially in Commander, because you can kind of just stuff comes out of nowhere.
Never going to complain about that.
Oh, yeah. And then you can pay 2 and a red. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step.
So the first thing I thought when I saw this ability was that it makes sense that he's 5 mana for a 7/6 as opposed to a lower mana cost for a lower power toughness. Because that ability is just, you can't be doing that too early.
No.
And I accept that. But the other thing I thought was Sundial of the Infinite. Right?
Oh.
You get the creature into play, do your thing, whatever. It's got haste, you use its ability, whatever you want to do. Then you just Sundial and end your turn, and you get to keep it in play.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I think that would be a solid, if you have a way to continuously draw cards, this could be a really fun Commander deck.
Totally.
Yeah.
Also, I really like this with Ilharg.
Yeah, the Raise Boar.
Because you play this, and then you 3 mana get Ilharg. Ilharg gets another creature.
Right. And then if you sacrifice Ilharg, he just goes third from the top, right?
Oh, is he one of those?
He's one of the gods because
Yeah.
Hazaret wasn't in the set because he died.
And you can just keep re-getting that ability every once in a while. And so I think I really want to play just big red stuff in Standard. Play Perforos and then do that ability Ilharg. Ilharg gets Drakaseth, Maw of Flames. You're hello.
Yeah, that'd be a nice change of pace as opposed to red deck wins. It's big red stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like something you could actually do. So
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, super solid card. Okay, next up we have Ox of Agoness. It's 3 and 2 red for a 4/2 creature. When Ox of Agoness enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. The escape cost is 2 red, and you exile 8 other cards from your graveyard. And Ox of Agoness escapes with a 1/1 counter on it. So I was thinking that this would be really great if you just like didn't have any cards in your hand, so then you could just draw 3 cards.
Totally.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Bedlam Reveler.
Yes.
It's a similar effect, but
Similar effect to Bedlam Reveler.
But Bedlam Reveler got a cost reduction for the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard.
You are correct, yeah. So he cost 8 mana total, but you could get it down to 2 red in total, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So this is always going to cost you 5.
So if you're not discarding your hand, right, you're not really populating your graveyard with cards, so it could be difficult to escape with him, but yeah, it's a mythic. Whew. But yeah, just a really great way to replenish your hand potentially in mono red.
Yeah, I think this is, you want to be using it, like usually red doesn't have too many more cards in their hand, so you will be using it to get more cards.
Yeah.
8 is pretty steep, but I think what we've seen before with broken cards in graveyards, if the escape cost was less, it might
Oh yeah,
it might be problematic.
Sure.
So I think it is there for a reason. Also, I kind of feel like this card fits right into Modern Dredge.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just dredging through cards. You got a big graveyard. You're going to cast this thing for 2 red. And if you're ever stuck on cards, you can just do the 2 red to like draw 3 more cards, right?
Right.
So I think this is great for. I feel like we should probably see this card pop up with Dredge Modern decks.
We'll see.
There's also like Dredgeless Dredge and Pioneer.
Oh, because there aren't any dredge cards that
There
are.
aren't any dredge cards, but you can still kind of do that. And so like this card maybe could filter that up as well. So see what happens.
Yeah.
Next up is a card that I think has gotten a bit of buzz.
Really?
Yeah. Underworld Breach. So it's 1 of anything in a red. For an enchantment, each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Underworld Breach. So I think this is a card that you just kind of like set up your deck to like go off in a turn and win.
Yeah, much like drawing your whole deck, like we talked about earlier, an effect like this with enough cards in your graveyard and enough mana, you will win the game. Like cards like Past in Flames or Yawgmoth's Will, right? Like
Exactly.
Those are game winning cards, right?
Yeah.
That's like your win condition kind of thing. Or allows you to get to your win condition.
Exactly. So I'm really wondering if this could even fit into all the already modern Storm deck. If there's just another piece to kind of like help you get there to like win a game.
Yeah.
Even in Commander, I feel like just getting some extra value from it. If you have cards that you're not really using, this can end up getting just other cards back. And you can cast any card.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just its mana cost and exiling 3 other cards.
Oh, yeah. So I think this is a pretty exciting card. And it's going to be interesting to see what people do with it, I think, just because of the open potential that the card has with using anything from your graveyard.
Also, Sundial of the Infinite. Don't have to sacrifice it. Boom.
There you go. Keep on using it every turn.
I think the card of today's episode is Sundial of the Infinite. Yeah. Okay, next up we have Storm's Wrath. It's 2 and 2 red for a sorcery. Storm's Wrath deals 4 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. So I think you could pretty often like cast this on turn 4 if you have it, but like even on turn 3 or 5, turn 3 to 5, and you probably take out most creatures and planeswalkers at that point, which makes it like a Wrath of God in red.
Yeah.
Which hits planeswalkers.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, definitely like a sideboard card in constructed play. And then even sometimes 4 damage can get rid of a lot of things in Commander. If people have a lot of like dorky creatures doing things and stuff.
Yeah,
which happens all the time.
If it's early enough turns.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it can like slow down the board if you're like behind, get you there. So yeah, I like this card. Alrighty, so next up we have the Storm Herald. This is 2 of anything and a red. For a human shaman creature, it's a 3/2 with haste. When Storm Herald enters the battlefield, return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures you control. Exile those auras at the beginning of your next end step. If those auras will leave the battlefield, exile them instead of putting them anywhere else.
So, again...
What, Kevin?
But seriously though, this would be. I like that you don't have to put them all on like Storm Herald or all on one creature, right? Because you could get this, because like auras in limited play, it's always the fear of getting 2-for-1.
Yes.
Right? It's always dangerous. But with this, it's like I've been getting 2-for-1 all game, and now I'm going to Storm Herald them all back into play. And you could just make that one push, putting the auras on all your creatures, and then making that push to kill your opponent. So, I like this card a lot.
Yeah, and especially it's really nice that this card also has haste, because then it is one of the other creatures that you can put auras onto to get in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then going further back in formats, we have some really fun... Like, obviously, if you can go into green, you can get, like, rankers and stuff, give your creatures trample to get in there for the final damage.
Yeah.
There's also a nice card called Eldrazi Conscription.
Tribal enchantment.
Now, all of a sudden, you have something that's +10/+10 and Annihilator 2. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's solid. Love that card.
I really want to play this card and then hit somebody for Annihilator 2 out of nowhere.
All right, next up we have Terror of Mount Velis. It's 5 and 2 red for a 5/5 dragon with flying and double strike.
Double strike.
When Terror of Mount Velis enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. So yeah, this is like a win condition.
It's a win condition card.
Yeah.
It's also a dragon.
Yeah.
I really like dragons. But 5 anything, the 2 red can be a little bit steep for mana cost. If we have Perforos, you just cheat this guy out. And then your win condition comes out sooner because everything's still getting double strike.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
And it's 2 red pips, so you're activating that Perforos.
Exactly that as well. So
yeah. Always got to be thinking about devotion.
Always. Now we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, just good strong end finisher for red here.
Yeah, no kidding.
I also really like how this dragon looks. He's got like a blade on his head. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I wouldn't want to be, wouldn't want to meet them in a dark alley.
Alrighty, next up we have the Dream Shaper Shaman.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised you put this card on here, but let's continue.
Sure. So it's 5 of anything in a red. It costs a lot to get out there. It's a 5/4 Minotaur Shaman. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 2 of anything in a red and sacrifice a non-land permanent. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land permanent card. Put that card on the bottom onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this card is just kind of like... It's a very late game card.
Sure, of course.
The mana kind of sucks because it is an uncommon card. But if you have a way of cheating this card out, or we are at a later game... every single turn, you're just getting another permanent on the battlefield from this card. And so if you really build around this card in terms of getting like certain permanents on the battlefield for a combo, this card I think fits into those kind of decks very well.
Okay, yeah.
It's a very niche kind of category for this card. But
right.
if you're just trying to get those certain permanents on the battlefield to win you the game, I think this card is to be looked at to get you there.
Yeah, and like you're not like netting any new permanents, right? Because you have to sacrifice one every time you do it. But yeah, like the turn you play it, if you wanted to use it, you'd have to have 9 mana.
Yes.
Yeah. But it is a 5/4, so it's got like that's a good stat line.
It's an okay stat line for the 6 mana. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the mana cost isn't restrictive in terms of color.
But I think this could be really fun to build around, just to get a deck where you have like little things you want to sacrifice to get more benefit out of them.
Yeah.
And then you're going to find those other cards that kind of like build what you want on the board to win you the game.
Minotaurs matter.
Minotaurs matter.
Magic is the true artist medium.
Ooh.
That's right. I agree. Next up, we have Furious Rise. 2 and a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until you exile another card with Furious Rise. Yeah, this card's really cool because, like, it's until your next turn, right? So it's like that impulsive card draw that like red's gotten over the last few years, but
yeah,
not so impulsive, right? You got a little bit more time, which is nice.
Yeah, and card advantage in red is always really nice because a lot of times you're always like usually looting or something like that. Mm-hmm. So this does pretty much all the time should get you another card there. It's like, do I need this card right now? I can play it for the value. If it's a card I don't even want right now, who cares? I'll just leave it there and it's getting me through the deck to cards that I really want to play more in my certain situation. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just really good card filtering value for red.
Yeah, and it's play a card. So if you hit lands,
You can play lands off it as
lands.
well.
That's always nice.
It's always nice when they throw that play status in there. So,
All right, we are going to move on to green.
alrighty. So with green, again, how we start off every single other color, green's god is Nylea. So Nylea, keen-eyed, is 3 of anything in green. For a legendary enchantment creature god, 5/6, indestructible. And as long as your devotion to green is less than 5, it's not a creature. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, just straight up. And then you can pay 2 of anything in green, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it in your hand. Otherwise, you may put it into your graveyard.
Yeah, so with that ability, if you're not getting creatures into your hand, you're fueling your escape costs.
Yes.
So that's really nice.
Really, really nice. And it's all obviously it's like if it's a card you really don't want, we can just get rid of it anyways. Get it out of the way.
For sure. Yeah, just like cycling through your deck faster.
Yeah. Making all your creatures with since we're in green as well, just cost 1 less is super good.
Oh yeah.
I think she's really, really strong here. So.
Okay, next up, the only other intervention card we're going to talk about today is Nylea's Intervention. It is X and 2 green for a sorcery. Choose one. Search your library for up to X land cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Or Nylea's Intervention deals twice X damage to each creature with flying.
That's such a good mode.
Well, it's... I think there's a reason we don't see a lot of those types of cards, like Whirlwind or anything like that.
Yeah.
At least in Commander. But I think that cards that don't put lands directly into play are often undervalued. And it reminds me of the card Sprouting Vines, which I don't know if we've talked about recently, but it's from Scourge, and it's two and a green, and you get to search your library for a basic land card and put it into your hand, but it also has Storm, and it's an instant. So, like I run that card in, like my Angry Omnath deck because, and my Tatiova deck, which is almost more important because I want those ETB triggers, but I want them like when I want them.
Yeah. So you can play the land cards when you know it's best.
Yeah. So like that's where a card like this would be really awesome. But if you didn't have a hand size limit, you could just thin out your deck. And if you wanted to just pay into X like crazy,
you can go for it.
Yeah. And then you're just drawing gas.
Yeah. And then the other really nice thing about this card is that it's X land cards.
Yeah.
Any land.
Is it any lands?
Yeah.
X land. Oh wow! Wow,
Kevin,
that's crazy. I didn't notice that. Wow, that makes it so much better. Oh boy!
Wow, this is such a staple for Commander. I feel like if you're in green, you should run this card for sure.
That's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
Wowie. That's really good.
Yeah, you can always go and grab your. Even with this, which is really cool, you can grab. What's the infinite hand size land?
Reliquary Tower.
Yeah, you can go grab Reliquary Tower and however many other lands you want. If you haven't made a land drop yet, play Reliquary Tower. Don't worry about your hand size already. Boom, you're good to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're playing Eldrazi, you can go get your Eldrazi Temple and your Eye of Ugin.
That's right. Only banned in Modern.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you're probably not going to use that second mode too terribly often.
Like why?
Yeah, Sprouting Vines is basic lands, though.
Yes.
I know that. I've checked.
But yeah, Nylea's Intervention, hoo boy, super good.
Yeah, that's really good. Wow. Okay.
All right, next up we have the insane Nyx Bloom Ancient.
Yep.
This card's so nuts.
It's pretty good.
4 of anything and 3 green for a 5/5 trample enchantment elemental creature. It has, if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead.
And it's a 5/5.
And it's a 5/5.
Yeah, so a Soul Ring produces 6 mana.
Yeah,
that's right, because each mana gets 3. Yeah, I had to I didn't quite, I had to look this up when the card was spoiled.
Yeah, but this is insane because then it triples all of your mana production for all your lands and stuff. But then if you have really cool artifacts like Soul Ring, or if you have
Grim Monolith is just like an instant, or Basalt Monolith, that's just, you can just go infinite with colorless mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just you gain 6 and then you untap it for 3.
Yep.
So, you net gain 6 is what I was saying.
Right. Or Mana Vault works too.
Mana Vault works too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
If you have an ever-flowing chalice with like 4 or 5 counters on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was totally thinking of like putting this into like just trying it in my slivers deck just because like it's a tap a permanent effect like a like mana echo, not mana echoes, mana reflection.
Yeah.
The reflection cycle from.
So yeah, once you get your like is it Mana Weft Sliver?
Yeah, or Gemhide Sliver does it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they all tap. They tap for 3. You choose a color. They tap for 3 of that color.
Mana.
So like every sliver lets you tutor for a sliver essentially. Once you have Nyx Bloom Ancient on the battlefield, which is pretty crazy. I think the only like like obviously this is a super powerful card and it's going to see a lot of play in Commander, but being on the opposite side of the battlefield from the opponent who's controlling a Nyx Bloom Ancient, I like that it's also an enchantment creature, which makes it a little bit easier to get rid of.
Yeah, there's more things that can target it as well.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice, just from a kind of balancing it out. And also the mana cost, it's restrictive. It's
like 3 green is a lot to get into for this, so...
Yeah, and I was even thinking about like Yisan, but like there's just... By the time I'm tutoring for a 7-drop in Yisan, like I don't need more mana. You know what I mean? So, anyways, but yeah, just like an like awesome card. Just like so decadent.
Guys want to see some Commander stuff? Nyx Bloom Ancient.
Oof, yeah. That is also another one of the cards that is like very much on like the top end of the pre-order prices. I think it's around like 22 to 25. I can't remember exactly. But next up we have Dryad of the Ilsean Grove. 2 and a green for an enchantment creature, Nymph. It's a 2/4. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and the lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. So this is like an exploration and a, Prismatic Omen on the same card.
Yeah.
That's super solid. Another card I would consider slotting into really any 5-color deck.
Any 5-color deck, because this mana fixes you. And you can play extra lands.
And it ramps
if you also have like a lands matter deck.
Yeah, that too. That would totally... And they're always green, right?
They're always green.
Yeah.
So just throw this in there because you can play additional lands.
Yeah, this is just like a super solid commander card. This is going to see a ton of play.
Oh, yeah. When I saw this card, I was like, this card's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, this and Nyx Bloom Ancient. But this only costs 3. Like, it's so...
I think I like this card more than the Nyx Bloom just for like what it does.
Me too, yeah. The fixing is just incredible.
The fixing is so good. And then, like, play additional lands is always a good ability.
Well, yeah, and you look at a card like... what's that?
The Dinosaur?
Well, yeah, the Dinosaur, that does the same thing for the same mana cost, except it doesn't do the Prismatic Omen thing. But that elf, that 1 and a green elf that's like $50, it just got reprinted in Mystery Boosters. It's the one that taps for each. Yeah, so this kind of reminds me of Bloom Tender. Wow, Bloom Tender's $69.99 on Card Kingdom.
Oh my god!
And
it just keeps going up,
and it just got reprinted. Or it's gonna get reprinted because the mystery booster set comes out in March. Anyways,
we'll see how much like it gets shown in mystery boosters.
Sure,
there's so many cards there, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's probably not gonna affect the price too much. And there's so many garbage rares in that set. So
yeah.
So yeah, this one like fixes you really well if you already have the mana, if you've already cast the spells and have the permanents. But this is just like, this card's so good because you just like all of your lands are command towers now.
Yeah, all of them.
Right? Like it's nuts.
You are set. So yeah, most green decks I think you should probably just throw this in there if you have multiple colors because it's just a mana fixer. Like why not?
Yeah.
All right. Next up, talk a little bit about some standard with Mantle of the Wolf. I felt like this card might be something that people kind of just like glaze over because
I glazed over it.
Yeah, it's so much mana for like what it does, and if you get 2 for 1, you're like, ugh, this sucks.
But you can't.
Anyways,
yeah.
So it's 3 of anything and a green for enchant creature. Enchanted creature is +4/+4. But when Mantle of the Wolf is put into a graveyard, create 2 green wolf creature tokens.
Yeah. So like with that, you can't really get 2 for 1.
Yeah,
because you're getting the 2 bodies if the creature dies and then Mantle of the Wolf goes to the graveyard.
Exactly. So that's why I really like this card actually, because if you are in like an aura style deck, I think this is a really good one to start running because of the ability when it goes to the graveyard, you get 2/2 tokens out of it. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Nessian Boar. It's 3 and 2 green for a 10/6 boar. All creatures able to block Nessian Boar do so. When Nessian Boar becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller draws a card. So this is kind of like, you can probably take out quite a few creatures with it, but they're going to get to draw cards and replace
Yep.
those cards. I mean, they might draw into garbage, but you never know.
Yeah, the reason I like this card is I feel like this card is a finisher.
Right.
Reason for that is because all creatures have to block this one.
Yeah.
And so if you have a board of a bunch of creatures, all your opponent's creatures block that one, and everything else you have just gets through.
Yeah, and you don't care if they draw cards.
You don't care if they draw cards at that point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So 5 mana to get something like that
Yeah.
out there is really great. I did put a little slash here because there is another card actually in the set that kind of does the same thing. It's the Tree Shaker Chimera. And this one is better if you're just kind of playing it for value because it's 5 of anything and 2 green for an 8/5. All creatures able to block Tree Shaker Chimera do so. But when the Chimera dies, you draw 3 cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's going to get blocked. It's going to die. But you're going to get 3 cards out of it, which is really cool. So both these creatures kind of the same thing. Tree Shaker Chimera does cost more mana. But I do think both those creatures could see some potential as just being like a finisher for your deck where you're playing a bunch of creatures. Because remember, if everything blocks that one creature, all the other stuff just gets through for free.
Yeah. Maybe I'll try them in Mono Green Tron.
Yeah. There's so many creatures.
Okay, next up we have Setessan Champion. It's 2 and a green for a 1/3 human warrior. It has Constellation. So whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Setessan Champion and draw a card.
So what's really cool about this card compared to, although we have a lot of enchantments, it's like whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you draw a card.
Right.
This is whenever it enters the battlefield, you draw a card.
Yeah, like this is sort of like it's an enchantress because like Eidolon of Blossoms is another one with Constellation that whenever you cast or it enters the battlefield, so you get it like triggers itself.
It triggers itself, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it. Wait, what is that card called again?
I think it's called Eidolon of Blossoms.
Yeah. Does that one also enter, or is it like when only she enters?
I think it's both, or maybe it's like when she enters and whenever an enchantment enters. But that's from the earlier Theros block when they were still doing three set blocks.
Yeah, so that is another enter the battlefield one.
Yeah, and like some of them are, some of them aren't. I think like Satyr Enchanter from like Core 19 is cast, and like Argothian and Mesa and all those ones. But yeah, I would totally put this guy in like an Enchantress build.
Yeah.
Because it's an Enchantress, essentially.
And I think it also works really well with the white enchantment that brings back every end step. You get an enchantment back from your graveyard.
Oh, yeah.
Another card that's great just for any of your enchantment decks.
Totally.
Throw it in there.
Yep.
Next up, we have the first Iroan Games. I really like sagas, and I think this one's really neat.
You should do a saga tribal deck.
Ooh.
Probably.
There's enough sagas, yeah.
Probably don't do that. It'll be 5 colors.
Yeah. So the Iroan Games is 2 of anything in green. Create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token for the first pip. Next up, next turn, you get 3 1/1 counters on target creature you control. Next turn, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw 2 cards. And then it also has a 4th one on it to create a gold token.
And gold token's just like a treasure token.
Yeah,
tap sacrifice. You get a
tap sacrifice. Yeah,
mana of any color.
So this card just gives you a lot of value. I feel
value. Yep.
Value town. So 3 mana, you're getting a 1/1, and then you're probably going to have something with 4 power because it's getting 3 counters on something just on the second turn there. So green always likes bigger creatures. This is great to pump something up that maybe has trample on it or something like that. And then you're drawing 2 cards the turn after that. So you're getting through your deck more. So
yeah, there's a lot of value.
Yeah, the gold tokens, whatever.
Next up, we have Destiny Spinner, and you have these cards under like potentially for Pioneer play.
Yeah, I was thinking of the mono green Pioneer deck for these next 2 cards.
Okay, Destiny Spinner is 1 and a green for an enchantment creature human, 2/3 creature and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. And you can pay 3 and a green to have target land you control become an XX elemental creature with trample and haste until end of turn, where X is the number of enchantments you control. It's still a land.
The first part or the second part, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all about the first part.
So would this be like sideboard?
I think it's like sideboard.
Yeah.
Really good sideboard if you're against control or something like that.
Yeah.
Your spells just can't be countered. So you can get your green biggies in there.
Big boys.
Big boys.
And the other one is like well, you go ahead. You can read this one.
Sure, yeah. And then the last one here is the Clothis' Design. It reads, it's 5 of anything in 1 green. And then creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is your devotion to green. So this is a straight up finisher.
Yeah. Yeah, and like those, like that deck does run a playset of Aspect of Hydra.
Yeah.
Right, which targets 1 creature, and it gives it +X, where
For
X
your
is your
devotion
devotion
to
to green, and it costs 1 mana, which is like usually what you'd use that to target Galta, right? That has trample.
Totally.
So, but yeah, this is. I mean,
this card as like a one of.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. Because
Yeah.
like there's going to be that situation in the game where like you don't have a trampling creature, or you've kind of been stumbling on creatures and stuff like that, and if you end up drawing into this card, it can do a lot of work for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I mean, obviously it would be better if it had like some kind of evasive ability, even like trample. But
it just gives all your creatures.
yeah, no, I know, but
Yeah.
like I think like the mana cost is just like a little
too
bit,
high?
little like well, and I know it hits all your creatures, and I'm comparing it to Aspect of Hydra, and they're different cards, right? It's like a target versus all your creatures,
But of course you're going to target the one that doesn't get blocked, or the one with the trample.
right? Of
Yeah.
course. But yeah, this is like I could see this as like a 1 or 2 of for sure. Yeah, interesting. All right, let's move on to the gold cards. First up, we have Calyx, Destiny's Hand.
Woo!
He is 2, a green and a white for a legendary planeswalker. 4 loyalty. His +1 is look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment card from among them and put that card into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. His -3 is exile target creature or enchantment you don't control until target enchantment you control leaves the battlefield. That's really cool. And
Yeah.
his -7 is return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So like replenish. That's solid. So yeah, I would totally. I run like an Ajani Mentor of Heroes in my Sigarda Commander deck, and I would totally swap that out for this guy because he's just way more enchantment. Cares way more about enchantments. I think like Ajani's ultimate is like gain 100 life, so it's like eh.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy is super solid.
Yeah.
In an Enchantress deck.
I think I would just still keep the... I do like Ajani's a +1 because it grabs everything that you can grab.
Yeah.
Compared to only getting one of the cards with Calyx.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, like Calyx's ultimate, as we were saying, is so much better.
I think with Ajani you still have to choose.
Do you?
I think. I'll look it up.
Yeah. Also, what's really interesting about Calyx with the -3, if you're running gods, you can put the exile underneath a god, which is indestructible, which is super hard for your opponent to deal with.
Exactly.
So that's a really neat way to do that ability as well.
Yeah, Johnny's second +1 is look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura, creature, or planeswalker card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You may reveal an aura, creature, or... Yeah.
Oh,
so
I'm thinking of a different Ajani. How much does that one cost?
That one is 3, a green and a white for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. Man, talk about power creep, huh?
Right?
Oh boy. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Putting it under like his -3 and targeting a god you control.
Yeah.
That's super solid.
Yeah, there aren't many exile enchantment effects running around in Magic, so
No.
they're there, but there's just not many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't remember if I saw Revoke Existence get reprinted in the set because that was like
That doesn't ring a bell.
Born of the Gods. It's 1 and a white for sorcery and it's exile target artifact or enchantment. It's from I think it was printed in Born of the Gods.
Okay.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was originally printed in like Mirrored and Besieged. Different artwork.
All right. Next up, we have Athreos, Shroud Veiled. So this guy is the buy a box promo.
That's right.
So you will not be opening this in packs. And he is a 4/7 enchantment god with indestructible. Costs 4 of anything, a white and a black. As long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, it's not a creature. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control.
Yeah, this is really where Aether Snap would come in handy.
Yes.
And what's really awesome about this is like you get the ETB triggers from the creatures, whether they're yours or your opponents, like whatever dies.
Yeah.
And it gets around exile, which is also really good. But I think it might be a little bit slow for Commander because it's just like at the end step you put a coin counter on. I don't know if I can think of a way you could like abuse that.
Yeah, like so first of all, it's nice because you do get the one trigger right away because it is end step. But there are multiple ways to have an extra upkeep step to get, like if this was upkeep instead of end step.
Of course, yeah.
There's multiple ways to double that, and I think the only way we can double this one is with that artifact. I just thought of it now too.
Oh, really? I don't know what artifact
you can 2 mana, and you copy target triggered ability.
Oh, Strionic Resonator.
Yeah, Strionic Resonator.
Yeah. You could copy this with Strionic Resonator. And then if you had a way to make multiple Strionic Resonators, you could copy that. Like, I think, just Prototype Portal, is that the one that copies artifacts?
There's that. You could also do like mechanized production. You just get one more every single turn.
Yeah, and then if you had like the one that copies upkeeps, like the haze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of stuff to make this to abuse this. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So it is sadly I think a little slow for Commander, but it acts in 2 ways because you can get your opponent's stuff, but also you can kind of like save your own board if you have a creature you really like. You can put a coin counter on it because then if someone rats the board, you still get it back.
Yeah, I think you'll get a lot less hate if you take that route. But
yeah, you will.
Like we've said before, like people don't like to have their toys taken.
Exactly.
So
I think the really interesting thing actually about this is that it says if it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield. So if you have, let's say, a spell that just like bounces a creature, it goes to exile and comes back. If you put a coin counter on something and then bounce it, you actually get control of it because it's moving to exile and the coin counter says you get it.
Yeah, that's true. Huh.
So like you could have Athreos and then like Eldrazi Displacer and then just every turn take a creature.
Yeah, true enough. Okay, next up we have Kuno-Ros, Hound of Athreos. Did I say that funny?
Oh, you just said like you're stumbling. Kuno-Ros?
Yeah, a little bit. They are 1, a white and a black for a legendary creature Hound, 3/3. It has Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink. Creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards. This is a solid 3 mana, 3/3 with 3 keyword abilities.
Yeah.
And it's also a Grafdigger's Cage without the library clauses. But in this kind of Grafdigger's Cage is standard legal right now, is it not? Or has it already rotated? Did it rotate with was it M20 or M19 that it was printed?
I think it was M19 it was printed.
So yeah, it rotated with Crucible.
Yeah.
Anyways, but this is all about like escape, right? Like in a limited environment, like this is going to deal with escape.
That's why this card is here for a big part, but
yeah.
It's also really nice just to have if you are worried about people doing graveyard shenanigans.
Yeah. I like this card. I like this card for like, even though it's gold card, I'd probably pack 1 pick this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Just because like if you have a creature with 3 keywords on it, like that's good.
Yeah, 3 mana, 3/3.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. So next up we have Siona, Captain of the Pyles. Pyles?
Anyways. Yeah, close enough.
1 of anything, a green and a white for a 2/2. When Siona, Captain of the Pyles, enters the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. When an aura you control becomes attached to a creature you control, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token.
So yeah, being able to dig 7 cards down for an aura is really good.
7 cards deep.
Yeah.
Is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, but the second line of text is also really great because if you have like what is it, Shielded by Faith, you can just create infinite tokens because it's the one that like whenever a creature comes into play, you can attach Shielded by token, Shielded by Faith, Shielded by token. So yeah, you can just like go nuts doing that. If
You just have infinite 1/1s.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So if you're like playing commander, if this is your commander, cast this on turn 3, Shielded by Faith on turn 4. I think it's 4 mana, and then you just like boom, boom, boom. But this is like actually no, Shielded by Faith gives you the option, so you can stop.
You can stop
and then pass the turn. So hopefully on like their first 2 turns, you did something so that you have haste.
Yeah.
Like cheated like an Akroma's Memorial into play or something, because otherwise I don't know how you do it in white and green. But anyways, that could be fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's also really good value just if you're playing in an aura deck because digging 7 deep really goes far.
Totally, yeah. And it also, like, getting those 1/1s is really good in like a Voltron deck because it can deal with edict effects, right? You have, like, little 1/1s that you can sacrifice as opposed to sacrificing your commander that is your win condition.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, next up, we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, it's Pelucranos Unchained.
Yeah.
It's 2, a black and a green for a legendary creature zombie Hydra. Pelucranos enters the battlefield with 6 1/1 counters on it. It escapes with 12 1/1 counters on it instead. If damage would be dealt to Pelucranos while it has a 1/1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove that many 1/1 counters from it. And you can pay a black and a green, and Pelucranos fights another target creature. And his escape cost is 4 black and a green, and you have to exile 6 other cards from your graveyard. This is just so good.
This card's so good.
In limited, right? Like it can just like it's a removal spell. It's a beater. It's like a repeatable removal spell.
Yeah,
because you can just keep fighting, and then it just comes back with 12 every time you want to cast it from your graveyard, just like over and over and over again.
I think a 12/12 for 6 mana is a pretty good rate.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
For sure. And like I think the the Golgari archetype in like the limited format is like all about filling your graveyard, right?
Yeah.
So like this would be a perfect way to round out that deck.
Oh, straight up. Even in Commander, this could see some play because it is, if you have those decks that are running just those little problem creatures that tap and do things, this is a really good way to just like get rid of a couple problem targets on the battlefield.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Usually you don't want to, if you are a graveyard deck, you don't want to be exiling too much out of your graveyard deck, so bringing this back multiple times probably isn't what you're going to be seeing doing, but... Mm-hmm. And even if it's your commander, a 6/6 for 4 mana starts doing things on the board. So next up we have the other Planeswalker... Or the last, I guess there's 3 total. Mm-hmm. And so this is Ashiok, Nightmare Muse. So it's 3 of anything, a blue and a black, for a 5 mana Planeswalker. Create a 2/3 blue and black Nightmare creature token with whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles exiles the top 2 cards of their library. The -3, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Then that player exiles a card from their hand. And then the -7 is you may cast up to 3 face-up cards from your opponent's own. From your opponent's?
Cards your opponents own from exile without paying their mana costs.
So it's small on my screen.
Yeah, it's really great because it cares about all opponents. So this card would be really great in Commander.
Yeah.
Right? Like the first incarnation of Ashiok, like it was like the targeted thing, like target player exiles the top 3 cards of their library, right? But yeah, this is like in like standard and limited. Like if you don't have a way to deal with this, like
you're getting a 2/3 every turn.
Yeah,
that's exiling cards from your library.
Or like the turn you play it, if your opponent has 1 creature on the board and you bounce it, like if they can't come back from that, you're just
Oh, it's a huge tempo play.
yeah.
Huge tempo play.
Yeah,
she's
she's
also
really
getting
good.
a card out of their hand from the -3.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's also giving you card advantage. So yeah, this is a really good tempo play. I think I can definitely see it coming in standard. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, next up we have Croxa, Titan of Death's Hunger.
Yeah.
A black and a red for a legendary creature, Elder Giant, 6/6. When Croxa enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. When Croxa enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card. Then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. And the escape cost is 2 black and 2 red, and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. I like that there's even a penalty for not discarding a non-land card.
Yeah, so it's like if you just discard a land, you still take damage. It's like, sorry, bud.
yeah, that's pretty sweet.
That's why I think this card's pretty good. Definitely in constructed play and standard, I think this card's going to show up big time. Mm-hmm. It's super oppressive, and it's card advantage on top of having a big beater after you get to escape it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
The other interesting thing about this card is that if you shut off ETB effects, you have a 2-mana 6/6.
Oh yeah, that's right, like a Torpo Orb.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I'm sure there's something in standard right now that does
there's
that.
the Hushwing.
Hushbringer?
Hushbringer. There we go.
Yeah. Is that what that one does?
Creatures entering the battlefield are dying. Don't cause abilities to trigger.
Right. It's also dying. That's like
also
the
dying.
additional thing.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. It's 1, a green, and a blue for a legendary creature, Elder Giant, 6/6. When Uro enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. When Uro enters the battlefield or attacks, you gain 3 life and draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield, and the escape cost is 2 green and 2 blue. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard.
I think Uro's more exciting than Groxa, personally.
Yeah.
Because it's ramp. It's great ramp for you. So it's like turn 3, you can get another land on the battlefield, so you have 4 lands. Mm-hmm. And you're drawing a card.
Yeah, and the life gain's kind of incidental, but it's not...
it's still something.
It is nice.
But yeah. I really want to play a deck with this guy, and then also...
Risen Reef? Is that still in standard?
That's still in standard.
Yeah,
totally.
that's right. It's M20. That's
Yeah.
right. I'm getting my M20 and M19 cards mixed up here.
But yeah, it may not be an elemental, but it's still like slots right into that deck. You're just getting so many lands onto the battlefield and everything, so it's just like it's more ramp.
Yeah.
And then late game again, like it's only 4 mana. You have a freaking 6/6 on the battlefield if you have those cards in the graveyard. So
Yeah.
it's nothing to shy at.
Nope.
Next up, we have the Dream Trawler. So I think this is a really cool, just like control deck finisher, and that's kind of the only point of this card. So it's 2 of anything, 2 white and 2 blue for a 3/5 flying lifelinker. Whenever you draw a card, Dream Trawler gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Whenever Dream Trawler attacks, you get to draw a card and discard a card. Dream Trawler gains hexproof until end of turn. Tap it. So you're attacking, you're getting more damage in, you're drawing more cards, and if someone tries to target this to get rid of it, you just discard a card and it gains hexproof.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly hard threat to deal with once it hits the battlefield.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like this card is so strong, and if you have other ways of drawing cards on top of this card, drawing a card when you attack, you can get just like damage out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, swinging for a 6/5, you're like, whoa, and by drawing those cards, it's just infinitely untargetable.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Enigmatic Incarnation. It's 2, a green and a blue for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another enchantment. If you do, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1+ the sacrificed enchantment's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. This is kind of a weird card.
It's a really weird card, and it like harkens back to
Birthing Pod.
Birthing Pod effects.
Prime Speaker.
Zagana.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a really interesting card, I think, to build around in Commander. I'd love to see like what some people can do with this card. But it's also really interesting having it in this current Theros set because they are making more enchantment cards that kind of do spells. Like you target creature gets -3/-3. You get to like draw some cards, effects like that. Yeah. And then so now if you have this in your deck, those one-time enchantment cards are getting more value because you can go tutor another creature out of your deck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think this card is like really, it's something super different that we've never had before. I really like what this card can do. It's really, really neat. It's one of my favorites from the set. So next up we have Haktos the Unscarred. This card is really cool. So it's 2 red and 2 white for a 6/1 human warrior. Haktos the Unscarred attacks each combat if able. As Haktos enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. Haktos has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number. Never have we had something that gets immune from certain CMCs like that.
Right.
And so this card, I think, is going to be pretty bomb in Standard, just because you're going to be getting in there all the time. It's only one of those kind of CMCs that are able to block. It does add some RNG to the game, but a lot of the times I think you're going to be winning more than losing.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't like variants. I don't like the one
toughness.
The one toughness.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be right. I don't get it. Like I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it's a good card.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe. Could be.
Yeah, the really good part about this card is that because it's immune from those CMC costs, whatever your opponent's creatures have on the battlefield, you're in red and white. So you're going to remove whatever CMC is chosen, and they can't block with, like, say, 2 and 3 CMCs because they can't target this card.
Yeah,
so it just gets in for damage all the time.
I know protection protects from damage, but does protect from like -1/-1 effects? Like let's say what's like nausea would take out this card. Like all creatures get -1/-1 and black.
No.
It would
still hit it because it's not targeting it. But anything that targets it, it can't.
But like a Blasphemous Act, if it had pro red, it would protect from damage.
Because it's damage.
Yeah, even though it's not targeting.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Mischievous Chimera. It's a blue and a red for an enchantment creature Chimera, 2/2 with flying. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, Mischievous Chimera deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you scry 1.
So this is really cool in Commander because every single opponent has a turn.
Yeah.
So if you're doing some sort of spell slinger deck, you can get an extra damage if you're just casting a spell on each of your opponent's turns. Mm-hmm. But also in Standard, recently I've been playing play on your opponent's turn kind of deck. So
right.
all the cards are either flash creatures or like instants.
Okay.
This card fits right into that deck. So I'm actually super excited. I'm going to get a playset right away, just slot it into the deck.
Cool.
Yeah, it's extra damage every single time. You cast Opt for 1, and then you're dealing a damage, and you're getting to scry an extra card.
Yeah.
That's such good value.
Nice. All right, we're going to move on to the colorless cards, and we only have a couple here. So the first up is Nyx Lotus. It's 4 mana for a legendary artifact. Nyx Lotus enters the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it and choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. So it's like Shrine to Nyx.
Yep.
On an artifact. Yeah, I think this is like you could put this in a lot of mono-colored and 2-colored commander decks, and you wouldn't be wrong to do it as long as the decks have a relatively large board presence.
Totally. Also, like artifacts are easier to untap with certain effects.
Sure, yeah.
And so getting more mana out of this card, I think, is going to be easier than like Shrine to Nyx.
Yeah, like Voltaic Key or Manifold Key or, to name it 2.
Yeah, so you're just untapping this. And you have to pay like you have to with Nykthos as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. So there's an additional like higher cost initially for the 4 mana, but yeah, after that you're just tapping.
Yeah,
which is really, really nice. Yeah, this is going to see a lot of play in Commander.
Hell yeah. And then the other colorless is the Shadow Spears. This is only 1 mana for an artifact. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. And then for 1 mana, permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
Yeah, that's solid. Like you don't even have to. The equip cost is 2. Like you don't even have to equip it to anything. Like it's just great for that ability, right? Like Arcane Laboratory is a great land, and it gets rid of Shroud and hexproof.
Right, exactly.
Right? So yeah, this is just.
It's great that this doesn't have to be equipped to anything. It's just an artifact out there. So for 1 mana, things can't have hexproof or indestructible. You're like, sweet.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good card to pay attention to because a lot of time there are hexproof things that you do want to target. This is just for an extra mana. You can now target it. Sweet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure. And as far as like colorless goes, we'll just mention the lands a little bit here. We got the other half of the temple lands reprinted here, which is, that's like good for commander. Like I'd rather run those than a guild gate.
Totally, because you're getting the scry.
You get to scry.
Yeah.
But, otherwise, like, pretty underwhelming lands. But, like, what are they going to do? We just got the shock lands, which are, like, the next best things to OG dual lands.
Totally.
So
this can round out some mana bases in Saturn and such, and they're nice lands to have.
Yeah, and Field of Ruin got a reprint, which was nice, because that was kind of a more expensive uncommon for a while.
Yeah.
So that's nice. It got new
Especially
art.
for an uncommon land, like $5. You're like, what?
What I really like about Field of Ruin, especially in Commanders, you can use it as a political card.
Because everybody.
Yeah, so you're not getting any net gain for the person you're targeting and yourself, but the other 2 or 3 opponents are, and hopefully you can use that to your advantage. And also, like, if you have like a Limb Duel's Vault scenario, or a scenario where someone's crafted the top of their library a certain way, with Field of Ruin, you don't have the option to search, like Path to Exile. You have to search. So you can really mess up somebody's day doing that.
Totally. I always love being able to do that.
Yeah, ruin somebody's day, me too. Okay, so we're going to bring this episode to a close. I think this is pretty good. We're getting these set review episodes done a little faster, and we wanted to do this all in one episode before the release of the set, even though the set was fully spoiled like around this time last week. Mm-hmm. If there are any cards that we missed, you can let us know in the comments, or you can message us on Instagram, and you can do that by finding us at Turn One Soul Ring the podcast on Instagram. And if while you're there, you can also look for our January giveaway post and enter that to win some Theros Beyond Death packs and a couple of custom foil cards. And that's going to be, we still got some time on that. We still got like 10 days on that. So I'm also on Instagram at Command Beacon, and you can find our podcast on all the podcast platforms, including YouTube. I just recently got all our episodes on YouTube. I did playlists. Ainsley did the descriptions. She's our producer. It looks nice.
Yay.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube. It's
We're
awesome.
on YouTube. Yeah. And it's free. Hopefully everyone is having, or has had, or will have a really great time at pre-release. And if you want to buy cards and they're not for standard, don't buy them on like pre-release prices. Like just wait a little while. And if a card sees a ton of play in standard, just wait a couple of years and buy it when it rotates, and we'll do an episode at that time for rotation. What to pick up. Yeah. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys very soon.
Have a good pre-release.
Bye now.
Turn One Soul Ring.
Bam.
I still haven't updated the points. Is Riley winning now?
Yeah. He was winning before.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look, he's at 33.
Yeah.
But are you still like pretty close?
I think I'm even further away now. Definitely. So